live shortly. Should be good.
Okay. Well, it is a little after 6, and we're going to call the meeting of the Paloma School Board to order. That was not what I intended. Thank you all for coming. I think the first thing we need to do is pledge allegiance. All rise. I'll start. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so thank you. As you can see, we are actually board member short to start with tonight. We are going to go ahead and swear in our 2 new members that are here presently, and then work on some of the official business on the agenda. So Erin and Joe, if you would like to stand and raise your right hand, I think this is how it goes. You ready? You just repeat after me. In the blank part, you put in your name. I, Erin,
Joe.
do solemnly swear
Do
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and the policies of the Paloma School District.
and the policies of the Paloma School District.
During my term, I will faithfully and impartially
During my term, I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the responsibilities
discharge the responsibilities
of the office of school board member
of the office of school board member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, you are official. Joe, I have a certificate here from the election board for you, and Erin, one for you as well. You're welcome. You are school board official. So, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, we are board member short. The next few items on our agenda have to do with swearing, and we did the swearing in, do Rick later. Election of board officers, setting a meeting schedule, and the board retreat. We have decided to push that down the agenda until Rick can join us this evening. I will circle back to that. So at this time, looks like we're moving on to the strategy and discussion section. Looks like Superintendent Holiday has a update for us.
Yeah, thank you. What I wanted, and welcome. What I wanted to do was just share a brief update tonight about the start of the 2021 school year with things that we know and things that we don't. And part of that is really to get us in a mindset of how we will think of making determinations about, hang on just a minute. Gotta get Jamin back on there. To support us in making our decisions. Last year in COVID protocols were defined by the Oregon Department of Education and the Oregon Health Authority as part of the Ready Schools Safe Learners documentation. And so as we progress, you'll see that there are some slight differences that are anticipated that we won't know about until mid-July, but want us to get a context. So being ready to share with families, because the desire of the new guidance and documentation is to start as completely as possible in school in a 5-day week. And so the things that we know that on Tuesday, September 7th, we'll have kindergarten for a half a day at Blodgett. At Clemens, it will be the kindergarten and first grade assessment day by appointment, which they'll take care of. Philomath Elementary will be a second grade only day. Middle school will be a 6th grade only day. And the high school will be a 9th grade only day. Philomath Academy will have new students only to be able to do that first day orientation that has been typical in the district. On Wednesday, the 8th, Blodgett will have all students returning. Clemens will have another assessment day. Philomath Elementary will have all students, the middle school, the high school, and the academy will begin with all students on that Wednesday. On the Thursday, September 9th or September 10th, Clemens Primary will have half their kindergarten and first grade students on Thursday and the other half on Friday. So they start with part of their group, then the next day they have the other part of their group, and then when they come back the following week, all the students are together. So our plan right now is to have in-person classes resume on a 5-day per week schedule. So we will be Monday through Friday. We will move our early release that we shifted to Mondays this year back to Friday afternoons. So we'll have our professional learning on Friday afternoons with students being dismissed depending upon their school between 12:15 and 12:45. And students wishing to participate in online learning, which is still that opportunity, will enroll and participate through the Philomath Academy. I mentioned we've got final guidance coming out on July 22nd and wanted to share with you some of that preliminary guidance. So as we're moving on, and today's the day that Oregon opened up, if you will, but still wanting to be able to continue making good decisions in the interest of public health and safety. The second bullet there, when determining how to best support in-person learning during the upcoming school year, schools will work in a collaborative manner with local public health authorities. And also school administrators are required to exclude from school staff or students whom they have reason to suspect have been exposed to COVID-19. So those things remain. I had the opportunity to talk to the Benton County Health Department earlier this week because what I wanted to find out was where they are in their leadership. The preliminary documentation, so the things that we don't know yet, which came out a week or so ago, says that the majority of school health and safety protocols are transitioning from required, which was documented in the Ready Schools Safe Learners, to advisory in concert with your health department. So face covering, physical distancing, the maintenance of stable cohorts, those decisions, for all we know right now, appear to be destined to an advisory at the local level. So individual school districts will be able to make those decisions. When we do that, like I said, we work closely with the health department about how best to be able to take care of business, but it's really wanting us to think about a lens for our decision making. As we saw last year, there were some families who said, put our kids back in school and have them not wear face coverings, they don't need them, all the way to, oh, I'll pause.
Hi, Rick. Hi. Should I get out? Yeah, let me see what I can find out real quick. Yeah, he doesn't think he can be here for about another hour. He just got done with work. I don't know that we can drag.
I don't think we can agree on that. So we can either postpone some of those other activities to future board meeting.
What do we need to do? Maybe we can just, well, we can't.
I think what we can do is sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, I'd suggest that we determine what we would like to be able to ask Rick about also for a regular board meeting schedule. You could move off the election of officers if you wanted to do that. And we could look at dates for the board retreat, but it's just, not coming to any.
So, hey, Rick, I've got you on speaker. So right now we have postponed talking about the election of board officers, and we postponed talking about our regular board meeting schedule and the board retreat. We don't think we're going to be able to extend this meeting to another hour. We don't have much on our agenda. Can he be on speakerphone? I don't understand why not, so yeah,
There we go.
all right, well. Are you ready to be sworn in, Rick, or would you like to pause?
Or if he's able to be on Zoom.
I just wanted right.
I didn't know. If it was-
Yeah, we can use, we can
Not
use the
suggesting
phone,
one.
and so then I'll put this on hold for now, and we can come back to that.
Is that the best way to do it?
I think so, that way you can maximize the time that Rick has available and take care of the business that you need to also.
Okay, so Rick, I'm going to give you the oath of office, or whatever that term would be. Are you ready? Okay, repeat after me. I, Rick Wells, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and the policies of the Philomath School District.
and the policies of the Florida School District.
During my term,
During my term,
I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the responsibilities
discharge the responsibility
of the office of school board member
of the office of school board member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
There you go. Congratulations. You're- So we were just in the middle of a report from Susan. So if you're okay with that, Rick, we're gonna just finish up that before we move on to our other business. Because she was,
No, that's fine.
okay,
Were you gonna do the officers?
we are. I was just hoping if you could stay on the phone, we would just finish up this. She's almost at the end, and then we'll do the officers.
I can stay on the phone, that's no problem.
Sure, okay, sounds good.
So knowing that we've had people in this past year that have said no face coverings, and people who say, how can you get rid of face coverings? And the whole array. We always went back to the RSSL guidance last year to guide what our decisions were. And so with what we believe to be an increase in our local decision-making authority, I just want us to start thinking about what will be the guide or the lens by which we make decisions in this year, especially for things like face coverings, physical distancing, stable cohort groups. And the health authority, when I talked to them earlier this week, said that they kind of took June off to do some recuperating, and they're coming back around in July. They appreciated the preemptive call, if you will, to be able to ask what their guidance will be and how involved they will be. It could be that they will tell us based on county vaccination numbers and COVID cases that we can make our own decisions. If there is they may also look to CDC and Oregon Health Authority to say anybody that's not vaccinated has to wear a face covering. I don't know. But the other parts of that, as long as we work in concert with the health department, there's still latitude for us to make decisions. And like I said, as of today in the community, we know that masks may not be seen so much. And so it's really just asking us to think about, and I will continue to look for the final guidance, but also to continue conversations with the health department to give our board information that will help us make those kinds of decisions so that we're not making one decision with one series of guidelines and another decision with a series of others, and really having some foundation with which to make decisions so that we can be proactive rather than reactive. But knowing that for all intents and purposes with what we know, there's going to be more local control in that. So Alcee could make a different decision than Central Lynn and Philomath and Sweet Home. And we're going to talk about it too as our regional superintendents group. It's how do we make our decisions and how are we proactive as we move forward. So really, it was more about wanting to put out to families that we're going to start back full tilt. The things that we don't know at this point have to do with the health and safety protocols. And we'll know more about that as we get the further guidance later in July. And I will continue to inform this group about what that looks like and what our regional superintendents talk about to be able to just give us the ability to make the best decisions we can on behalf of our students and staff.
So within our own school district, there's a potential that the health and safety protocols could be different from building to building, is that? I mean, because considering that the younger
Yes.
students would not be
Yes.
able to be vaccinated, so
that could
might.
be true. That could be something that we would look at based on health department's recommendation. But again, there are some, there was an article in the newspaper either yesterday or today, I can't remember, that was asking Albany and Corvallis what their plans were. And they're saying, we really don't have the answers to what's going to happen with the face coverings and the physical distancing quite yet. And so everybody's going through this period of being able to attempt to make good decisions. So one of the districts that in the state put out a survey to their families that said, what would you prefer? And that was something that they had asked, but I think it's just wide open, but that's on my radar to be real clear about what we believe should guide our decisions as we move forward with those specific things. Well, just wanted to put it on everybody's radar, that's all.
All right, so we can at this point circle back and take care of some of our regular business from the beginning. We have Jamin on the line waiting for his part. Does Jamin have any time constraints as well?
He has a board meeting that starts at 7 o'clock.
So we can probably finish up and be to him before that.
Yep.
All right, so next on our list of things to do tonight is the election of board officers for 2021, 2022. I would just open that up, I think, to discussion, or is there a motion?
Do we have to make a motion independently, or can we make them together? Like chair and vice chair?
I feel like last year we did them together. I don't know that I think you can do it either way, is my belief, that you can do one and the other.
Sorry.
Rick? I'll turn you back up so we can hear if you're interested in being the chair or the vice chair.
Yeah.
That answered that.
All right.
Okay, good. Any other interest?
I think it would probably be best if the new board members, well, with the exception of Rick, his experience is probably maximally be vice chair or hold off until we have more experience and more, understanding of the responsibilities of the position.
Certainly, yeah. Rick, are you interested then? I think we can have this discussion.
Sure.
Do you want to be chair, Rick?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, so, and we would just need a motion.
Yeah, I move that we nominate Rick Wells as chair and Karen as vice chair.
Do that.
I would second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, any questions? All right, then it's time to vote. All of those in favor of electing Rick Wells the chair and myself, Karen, as the vice chair, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 I
The ayes have it. We have just elected Rick Wells as our chair for the year. Thank you, Rick.
Congratulations,
Yay.
Rick.
Okay, so
Thank you, Karen.
are you ready to take over the meeting now?
but I'll defer to you for this right here.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so we're moving on. We wanted to talk then about a date, a regular scheduling date for our board meetings. So do people have an opinion on what day of the week we should hold our board meetings?
Well, I'll throw my opinion out there and then, you guys can do with it what you want, but when I was on the board before, we had it on Thursdays and it seemed to not have a lot of conflict with district, things that were going on in the district. Once in a while you would, but I think you're gonna have a conflict no matter when you have it. It's later in the week so that if you have a longer meeting, you're not so tired at the first of the week that you're just kind of dragging the rest of the week. So, you know, I would throw out there that we could have it on Thursdays.
I have no problem with that.
I don't have problems with Thursdays.
Yeah, I think the only piece for me is in the fall, it might be 1 or 2 meetings that could be impacted by my child's athletics, but otherwise I might either miss those or attend via Zoom or however we're doing it then, but otherwise the rest of the year should be fine.
I think something midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is probably better than a Monday or a Friday, so Thursday is fine with me.
All right,
And then-
and do we have to have a motion?
Well, then which
Which
Thursday?
Of which week? Which
I think we
Thursday?
were third.
It's typically.
The third.
Third.
Yeah.
And that works for most bill, for most budget kind of stuff, that's.
Third Thursday, is that okay?
Yeah, the third Thursday, we're good.
All right. So do we need to actually make a motion and vote on that, or we can just say that? Is it?
I don't think we would even know.
We just
All right.
decide.
So we just
Yeah.
decided it's the third.
Third
Thursday.
Yeah.
Next on our agenda is, we need to talk about scheduling a board retreat in August. I sent out an email earlier today, asking people to kind of take a look at some dates, things that won't work or would work. I know Lillian will send out a scheduling, probably kind of a survey thing, but does anybody know of things that they're going to be gone for that first 2 weeks? or-
And basically, my wife's vacation goes from the 4th to the 11th, so I may not be available during that time.
So we probably need to look somewhere like the 12th or the 13th.
It's just a one day, right? It's just.
It is, and we're probably talking about either, if people can do it, like start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, probably about a 4-hour-ish type timeframe. We would like to stay away from going out on Saturday
Sure,
as
of
much as
course.
possible.
Yeah.
So you would ideally maybe start like 4 o'clock on a Thursday night potentially.
Thursday the 12th.
Thursday, the 12th works for
Thursday the
me.
12th works for me.
We might actually just be able to narrow this down to nights. Rick,
It works for me too.
will you be able to get here early enough on a Thursday night?
Yep.
Okay, so we are saying that Thursday, August 12th,
4 p.m.
4 p.m. here in the boardroom.
Sure.
And we will, not me, Lillian, I can't take credit for it, and reach out, and what we'll do is make sure that there's some food available to be able to wash on that.
If I may, are you starting the board meetings on Thursdays in August?
Yes,
Of the 19th, get a date, and that's a night of contract negotiations.
Yeah.
So that month you may have to move it to the
thank
night.
you.
Yeah. Would it hurt to move it to the 26th, the first month? We could talk about that later. Or just the night before, we have to.
Yeah, in August probably have some flexibility because kids aren't.
Yeah.
Kids are back. and
Right.
teachers aren't
I would say that it might be a good idea to see when we can move it, because then we can get it on the schedule and know that August will be different than
Yes.
the normal.
Good point, thank you, Bill. Yes,
So we're
I think, so you're talking about moving it to the 26th, first one, which might be good since negotiations are the 19th. It would be good after.
after negotiations, we might have something to discuss.
Works for me. August 26th.
26th, is there anything district-wide that would conflict with the 26th?
Probably shouldn't, because school hasn't started yet.
And it doesn't start till September 7th.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, we have a late start this year, so it shouldn't be.
You won't have teacher in service or anything.
No, teacher in service starts September 1st.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, that would work.
Rick, is the 4th Thursday for our board meeting okay for you?
Just for our.
Just for August?
When, as well?
So we're looking at having to move the board meeting in August from the 19th to the 26th. Contract negotiations.
That's fine.
Okay, it's just the 1 month. Okay,
No, that's fine.
all right, we're good then.
Thanks, Bill, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. I would have completely forgotten.
For our board meetings, the standard is executive session 6 p.m., regular meeting 7 p.m.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so moving right along then. The consent agenda was in your packet. Did everyone have a chance to read through their review? Any questions? All right, so I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda found on page 3 of our packet.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I can open it up to discussion and questions now, if anyone has any clarifying questions. I'm not hearing any.
Nope.
All right, all those in favor then of accepting, approving the consent agenda as it appears in our packet, please raise your right hand and say aye. 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 The ayes have it again. Thank you very much. And now, thanks, Jamin, for hanging on while we went through all that. It is Jamin's turn to talk about Kings Valley enrollments.
Just to kind of, we've seen this before at the last board meeting. And one of the questions that came up was the impact of if adding 10 students at the middle school level would then impact as those kids age into high school, the numbers. And Jamin and I talked about it, and he said, no, that's there's no anticipation of that. A couple of the other things, so what he wants to do at this point is to add 10 students at the middle school level, and that is with the classroom space availability is now complete, and then the septic system preliminary review of the water usage is pending, and so if that comes through in terms of the approval, then if we approved as a school board, it could move forward. If it doesn't come through, it's not going to happen. So the request is really looking at middle school students to be able to move down class size and the number of students enrolled in those particular grades to get rid of blended classes. A couple of things that we've had some conversation about today that we wanted to make you aware of. We talked about at our last meeting the potential of added students and the special ed implications quite possibly when we're already right now trying to figure out what that looks like and how we're dealing with the high needs for special education right now at Kings Valley. Jamin and I talked this afternoon about the overall enrollment picture. The other thing that we wanted to be thoughtful about that Bill referenced this afternoon was impacts potentially on our own budget in terms of we planned for the same enrollment we had last year plus half of the students that we lost. And if Kings Valley has Philomath students that are going to them, which we can't deny, it's going to take away the bulk of the ADM that we had budgeted for 10 potential students. But Jamin said he's got some information, and we looked at their waiting lists for their lottery system, and so asked him to join us tonight to be able to answer some of those questions so that we could make an informed decision about whether or not we move forward. Do I have that right, Jamin? Yep. So, Jamin, can you reiterate maybe the conversations we had this afternoon about your numbers and kind of the rationale for seeking this addition?
So as far as our rate goes, right, so I think we probably have about 25 to 30 on our wait list right now. Very we start out with our scheduling, we're able to make that work very well. And the other part of this is the question about how that impacts our high school. And really, historically, the way that our school works, we start out with 4 kids in our elementary, and then we have all classes in our middle school, all of our high school. Where our graduating class in high school really averages, I think our highest is 13 out of those. So, if I think one of the questions was about what we do at a level of really at a large class, I think all of our 8th graders, around all the way to graduation. And we would just make it up. I think it up. That's usually how. There are definitely benefits for us. I think especially one of the questions. And there's a couple things there. One is what our plan is for
So kind of a recap of if 25 to 30 students on a wait list. We did talk about, Damon and I did today, about some Philomath students that had been on that wait list for 4 or 5 years. They've not gotten responses from, and we actually looked at where those students were today. And the bulk of them are successfully entrenched in wherever it appears that they're going to be longer term. So the likelihood of any of those students moving is pretty slim to none. Right now, we were talking today that there at Kings Valley is roughly 25% of their student population comes from Philomath schools, and about 75% of their students come from Monmouth, Independence, Dallas. So that's the makeup. So the belief is that by adding 10 students, the likelihood of those 10 coming from Philomath schools could be minimal based on the way their wait list is set up. Of course, we would then still look at, with the addition of 10 students, seeing a small, we'd still end up moving out the state school funding that goes to Kings Valley for 10 additional students. And of course, if they're new students, it's better than not. So, Bill, can I pick on you to see if you've got something to add to that?
No, the concern is, as you mentioned, with our projected enrollment, if the students came from our current enrollment went out there, then it just further depletes our budget. We send 92% for K-8 and 95% for high school students to Kings Valley from that ADM. And then if they're remote, that's an additional cost. So just looking out for what could be a challenging year fiscally based on the unknown enrollment figure. I don't want to make it worse in the short term. So those are the concerns I have. And there will be an adjustment if anything at all, to state school funding till at least October timeframe, once all the districts have reported what their enrollments are from the fall, and then the state may decide if there's enough shift to reallocate funding. So best case scenario, if our enrollment comes back and we're fortunate enough to be back to pre-pandemic levels, there will be a few payments where that would not take effect until you're able to report a full enrollment.
All right. We need to take action on this tonight, correct?
The other choice, if you don't take action, I mean, it's gonna be helpful for planning purposes. The other thing that we could do is come back to it in August, but that puts it right at the, the precipice of the start of the school year, in being able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's difficult for the families as well, to make plans as well as the schools, of course. So this probably should probably open up to a discussion, so the motion to discuss. If you have questions?
I have a question for Superintendent Holliday. Do you feel your previous values or concerns, but questions around the special ed have been resolved, and that you feel comfortable were we to approve this, or do you still feel like we are stepping into an unknown about how much support we may have to offer?
For me, it remains an unknown, just because we don't know. If we're looking at 15%, like we talked about last time, of the students currently at Kings Valley being special education students, we add 10. There's the potential that 1.5 of those students will be will have special education needs.
And then what does that mean for us?
We haven't resolved that yet in terms of how it's kind of like we have to live it for a little while to be able to move forward and see what that resolution looks like. As you see from the consent agenda, we did hire a special education director and at a 0.6 to focus solely on special education. And that's part of the understanding that we've worked on together, is to be able to say, here is something that we've got to figure out how to make it work, but we don't have the solid answers to it at this time.
Susan, can you ask Jamie to confirm what his current projected enrollment is for the fall? Because I think that might be important to have the discussion and whether he thinks he gets to his full cap of students.
Yeah, Jamin, do you think you'll get to your full cap?
We're at 195 right now.
Yep.
We're at 195 right now, and it's fine. So, and that's part of that process. We typically get back up to that. But typically happens in the fall is we end up having come in. Or we have not had a case. So my hopes are
Yep. Good. So just to recap, there's currently 195 and it's climbing. The anticipation is they would probably get to the 204, 205, possibly to the 208, which is their limit at this point in time. Adding the 10 would put them at 218. At this point, there is not a belief that 218 is realistic in terms of getting that high. But it's about wanting an opportunity for a buffer should a family come in. Did I get that right? Okay.
Rick, are you catching all this?
Yeah, my question is this gonna be a permanent, move with these 10 students, or is it just gonna be, because I think before, Jamin, did we allow you some extra students for just a few years and then it went back? Do I remember that right or not? No, I think basically we went to 207 with one coordination, 208, and that was the memorandum of understanding for our increase several years ago. And that was a permanent decrease. Okay. I think could be something that we could, once you go up, it's not necessarily easy to go back down, but I mean, if you have a good point, it could be something that we can evaluate, where that is, stay there. I think the thought is that if you go up there and then you come back down, how we can use that. I've never experienced that, but I would need to probably plan ahead and think about what that means.
And I think if I remember correctly, that the charter is up for review at the end of this year. And so we will be looking at the whole of the charter in the course of this year and being able to have, longer term conversations as we go.
Okay, that works for me.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve or is there any motions? That's a big question.
I'll move that we approve the request from King Valley Charter School for additional 10 students as presented in our packet.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for an approval of Kings Valley's request to add an additional 10 students to their enrollment. Any further discussion?
Just point of clarification. So when we review the charter next year, enrollment is
Part of that.
open. Okay, then I feel comfortable in that. That gives us a year to see how it goes. Sure, effectively.
All right. All those in favor of approving the motion request for Kings Valley enrollment up by 10 students? That was really clear. Please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. And the motion passes. Thank you, Jamin, for coming tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep,
Thank
have
you,
a good night.
appreciate it.
All right. So that actually takes us to the meeting close here part of the agenda. Next meeting agenda items. Anything anybody would like to add to the agenda? We don't meet until late August, as we just decided. We have a work session before that. August, typical items on the August agenda. I'm sure what we told us.
And I will send you, because we will learn July 22nd, and I'll still be in contact with the Benton County Health Department to send something to you that's kind of just a message and an update of where we are and what we're thinking. And just to keep you informed of where we go, because the school year plans will be in full swing by that point. And if we have to convene an executive session or a meeting just for some specific purpose or decision, that way the board will know and be able to make an informed decision in that way.
Good.
Sure.
And just a reminder, if you do want something to be added to the agenda, I believe that is in your board policies on how to make that request. So I bring you back to that. Are there any board requests?
I know, there wasn't, or thanks for necessarily for the comment. I know that, our spring, I guess would be our winter athletes. The most recent, student athletes had some great success in a variety of sports. And just want to, recognize their achievement, and their effort in representing the Fulton School District. And so on.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you. Yeah, it's a little strange to have those sort of things after the school year ends, but yes, they were still playing sports, so great job. I guess with that, there's nothing else for this evening. I will close out this meeting at 6:56. Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Karen.
The amazing things that